Hi students, today we are going to do the chapter, the last lesson from the book Flamingo. This chapter has been written by Alphonse Daudet. Alphonse Daudet is considered to be one of the most iconic names of French literature. As a French short story writer and a novelist, he is still remembered chiefly as the author of Sentimental Tales, of provincial life in the south of France. In the Franco-German War, which had a profound effect on his writing, can be judged from his second volume of short stories, named Monday Tales. Alphonse Daudet, till date, is considered by many literature lovers to be one of the handful writers who portray human emotions in a very realistic manner. Now let's look at the learning objectives of the story. To identify the genre to which the story belongs, to comprehend the cultural background of the story, to realize the importance of a teacher in the life of a student, learning how patriotism also means love for one's language and other aspects of culture. Lastly, not to take one's freedom of expression for granted. Let us go through the setting of the story. The story is set in the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine during the days of the Franco-Prussian War in 1870 and 1871. The beautiful backdrop of the woods filled with the chirping of birds, the river Saar and the fields offer a stark contrast to the drills of the Prussian soldiers and the political upheaval. Political upheaval means the sudden change in political setup. Alphonse Daudet has used this canvas to show how the change of power affected the civilians, a particular student Franz, his French teacher M. Hamel, and the elders of that village. Let's go through the brief overview of the chapter. The prose, the last lesson, written by Alphonse Daudet, describes the year 1870, when the Prussian forces under Bismarck attacked and captured France. The French districts of Alsace and Lorraine went into Prussian hands. The new Prussian rulers discontinued the teaching of French in the schools of these two districts. The French teachers were asked to leave. The story describes the last day of one such French class under M. Hamel. M. Hamel could no longer remain in his school. He gave his last lesson with utmost devotion. So, the story, written in historical background, is a beautiful depiction of the emotional bond of the people with their mother tongue. It depicts the pathos of the situation that, in order to conquer the minds of the people, it is not enough to win a country physically by force. In order to enslave people completely, a conqueror needs to enslave their thoughts and make them devoid of their own mother tongue. So let us begin the story. The narrator of the story is a young school-going boy named Franz. That morning, he was in great dread of a scolding, as he was late for school. Also, as their teacher M. Hamel had announced the previous day that he would test them on the topic of participles. And Franz did not know anything at all. He was more scared of being scolded. The expression "in great dread of" means to be scared of. So, Franz was scared of getting scolding from his teacher. Franz had another option in his mind: to miss school and enjoy the day out in the warm and bright weather. He describes the scene. There were birds chirping on the trees and the noise of the Prussian soldiers doing the drill. Behind the sawmill could also be heard. The word drill means exercising, and the word sawmill means a factory for cutting wood. The scene outside was more tempting than the school, but Franz resisted the temptation and chose to attend school. Here, tempting means attractive, and resisted means to stay away or to control. As Franz walked past the town hall, he noticed a huge crowd at the bulletin board. The war with Prussia had begun 2.5 years ago, and since then, all the bad news, like losing the war, occupation of Alsace and Lorraine by the enemy, that is Prussia, had been communicated to the people through this bulletin board. Franz kept on walking towards the school and thought in his mind that what news could have been put up on the board now. Bulletin board here means a notice board for putting up the latest news and communication. As he walked hurriedly towards the school, the blacksmith, who was also reading the news, had come along with his apprentice, called out to Franz from behind, and said that he need not go in such a hurry, as there was plenty of time for him to reach school. Franz thought that the blacksmith was making fun of him, as he was already late for school. When Franz reached the garden outside the school, he was out of breath, as he had walked very fast. The word apprentice here means trainee. Franz describes the usual scene at the school in the mornings: a great bustle created by the moving of desks, children repeating their lessons in unison, and teachers rapping the tables with the rulers could be heard. A great bustle here means a lot of noise created by many people. In unison means at the same time, and rapping means striking. But that day was unusual, as there was no such sound coming out of the school, and it seemed that the school was closed, as it used to be on Sunday mornings. Franz had planned that he would count on the commotion and reach the class without being noticed, but that did not seem possible. So, Franz wanted to sneak into the class quietly, unnoticed, but it did not happen, as the atmosphere of the school was totally different that day. So, what do you think was unusual about the school that day? Well, usually there was a great hustle and bustle when school began. The noise of desks opening and closing, lessons being repeated in unison, filled the atmosphere. But on that day, everything was quiet and still, as Sunday morning. Students were already in their places, and the usual commotion was missing. Franz peeped inside his class and saw his classmates seated, and M. Hamel, the teacher, walking in the class with a ruler made of iron placed under his arm. Franz feared a beating. Franz was ashamed of being late. He blushed and feared a scolding, as he had to enter the classroom in front of everyone. Blushed means face turned red in color due to shame. Franz blushed because he was ashamed of being late. But nothing happened. M. Hamel saw him and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." So, Franz found it strange, as M. Hamel did not say anything, and, on the contrary, politely asked him to go to his seat, as the class was about to begin without him. I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap all embroidered, that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. This means that Franz hurried to his seat. After some time, when he overcame the scare and became comfortable, he noticed that the teacher had worn his best embroidered that day. The teacher normally wore it on occasions like inspection and prize distribution days. Franz wondered if that day was a normal day. Then, what could be the reason for M. Hamel to wear his special dress? Franz felt that the atmosphere in the school was unusual and solemn. To add to it, the last benches of the classroom were occupied by the senior village men. Hauser, who was wearing his three-cornered hat, the retired mayor, postmaster, etc. Solemn means serious. They all looked sad. Hauser had brought an old primer thumbed at the edges. He had opened it, kept it on his knees, and had placed his spectacles on it. Old primer means a basic reader of any language or first textbook of teaching of reading. For example, an alphabet book. Thumbed at the edges means torn at the edges. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair and, in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." Grave here means serious. So, after listening to M. Hamel, Franz was confused and could not figure out what was happening that day. Just then, M. Hamel told them that it was their last lesson in French, as the Prussian in Berlin had ordered that French language would no longer be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, and that German language be taught instead. The German teacher would arrive the next day, and as this was the last lesson in French, M. Hamel wanted them to pay attention. What a thunderclap these words were to me. Oh, the wretches! That was what they had put up at the town hall? Thunderclap is used in comparison to refer to something startling or unexpected. So, what was the unexpected news? That is, French language would no longer be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, and it was their last lesson in French. Wretches here refers to an unfortunate happening. So, Franz was shocked to know that he could no longer learn French, and now he knew the latest news that had been put up at the bulletin board of the town hall. My last French lesson. Why, I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there, then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs or going sliding on the Saar. Saar refers to a river which passes through France. So, Franz regretted for not being serious towards his studies and for wasting his time in hunting birds' eggs and playing in the Saar River. Till now, Franz considered his books to be a nuisance, but suddenly he started considering them to be his best friends, whom he could never leave. The writer wants to show the change in Franz's attitude towards study after hearing the news that he could not learn French any longer. The news that the teacher M. Hamel was leaving also had a similar impact on him. Franz did not want him to go away. He no longer thought the teacher to be cranky and strict. Cranky refers to strange and short-tempered person. Poor man. It was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes And now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. Sunday clothes refers to the best dress that a person wears. Now Franz knew that M. Hemmel was wearing his best dress in honor of this last lesson. He also realized that the men had come to pay respect and thank M. Hemmel for his service of 40 years in that school. The village men had come to the class, as they were also repenting for not have studied well in their childhood. Also, they wanted to show respect to their country and were sad as their mother tongue French would no longer be taught to them. While Franz was thinking of all this, he heard his name being called. The teacher calls out to Franz as it was his turn to recite the topic of participles. As the news had impacted Franz, he was eager to study, and so he was desperate to show his eagerness. He wanted to be able to recite the topic in one go and without any mistake and please his teacher. His desperation is reflected in his willingness to give away all that he had in return for reciting the lesson well. As Franz did not know the lesson, he got mixed up and stood quietly. His heart was beating fast as he was ashamed of himself and did not have the courage to face his teacher. Mixed up refers to confused. So, why was Franz confused? Because he was not prepared for his lesson. He had, as always, taken his language for granted. I heard M. Hemmel say to me, "I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, 'Bah, I've plenty of time. I'll learn it tomorrow.' And now you see where we've come out." The expression "where we've come out" means result. Result of taking their language for granted. Result of running away from their language. M. Hemmel said to Franz that he would not scold him, as now he had realized his mistake. Every day, Franz told himself that he would study the next day, and now the opportunity to study had ended, and he knew nothing. Ah, that's the great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. Now those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, "How is it you pretend to be Frenchmen, and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? But you are not the worst, poor little Franz. We've all a great deal to reproach ourselves with." The word pretend means to show, and reproach means to blame. M. Hemmel says that all the people of Alsace were to be blamed, as no one was serious towards learning. He tells the class that the enemies, Prussian, would laugh at them and say that they only show to be Frenchmen, as they can neither speak nor write their own language. He says that Franz should not feel guilty, as everyone is at fault. And I've been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? And when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? M. Hemmel says that, as a teacher, he was also not interested in teaching them. He would send them to his home to water the plants. Sometimes he would declare a holiday and go for fishing. So, this shows that everyone was at fault of running away from their own language. Then, from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language and told his class to guard the language and never forget it. Because when people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. M. Hamel tells the class to guard their language, as it is the only way to free oneself from the prison of slavery. If a person knows his mother tongue well, no one can enslave him. A language is a tool to fight domination. M. Hamel took a lesson in grammar. That day, Franz was surprised that he understood the lesson with ease. He felt that he had been attentive and that M. Hamel also explained the lesson with a lot of patience. Franz felt that M. Hamel wanted to give them all the knowledge he had before leaving and to put it all into their heads at one stroke. The expression at one stroke means at once or in one go. After grammar, they had a lesson in writing. M. Hamel gave the class new notebooks with France, Alsace beautifully written on them. Franz felt that there was an air of patriotism in the class. The notebooks were like flags of France that were floating all around. The entire class was busy writing, and the only sound could be heard was that of pen writing on the paper. There is a text in the chapter where the author has written, "The littlest ones who worked right on tracing their fish hooks," as if that was French too. The littlest ones refers to the pigeons. Who worked right on tracing their fish hooks means scratching with their claws. The writer considers the pigeons sitting on the roof of the class to be students as well, and says that even the pigeons were busy scratching the roof with their claws, and it seemed that they were also busy writing the task of French language. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low, and I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Cooed means the sound made by the pigeons. The cooing of the pigeons on the roof makes Franz wonder whether the Germans will make the bird sing in German as well. The writer wants to say that language comes naturally to a being and it cannot be forced upon anyone, be it the pigeons or the Frenchmen. When Franz looks up, he sees M. Hamel scanning the entire class as if to imprint the scene in his memory. The writing lesson is followed by the babies chanting. Even old Hauser joins their recital with tears in his eyes. The clock strikes 12, then the Angelus, which means the prayer song began. At the same time, the Prussians sound the trumpet, and M. Hamel freezes. He tries to say something, but is overwhelmed with emotion. "My friends," said he, but something choked him. Choked means unable to speak due to strong emotions. He could not go on. He stopped and starts scribbling on the blackboard with large letters. "Vive la France," meaning "Long live France." Then he stopped writing bent towards the wall, and without speaking anything, signaled the class to leave as the class was over. To sum up, we can say that the story demonstrates how the linguistic chauvinism of one race can lead to the enslavement of another, and what we as individuals can do to overcome such a challenge. Themes of war, identity, linguistic chauvinism, uncertainty, and displacement are replete in the story. The literary device of contrast is employed at the end of the lesson when the striking of the church clock is followed by the recital of Angelus, a Catholic prayer. Simultaneously, the Prussians sound their trumpet, and the two contrasting worlds of peace and violence, faith and force, meet at a brief moment in time. And it is in this moment that the last lesson comes to an end. So we can say that the last lesson is a story as relatable today as it was when it was written. With the imposition of language in different areas by various regimes, it should be amply clear that the need to learn and respect one's language is of great importance. One should not be as naive as the residents of Alsace as presented in the last lesson and commit the same mistake in the 21st century which they did in the 19th. So, we can conclude by saying language is the expression of ideas, and if the people of one country cannot preserve an identity of ideas, they cannot retain an identity of language.